Have you ever wondered if you could launch your company in a place like Turkey, right at that crossroads between Europe and Asia, without ever leaving your home office? Well, it might sound like a huge, complicated process, but today, we're going to break down exactly how you can set up a company in Turkey completely remotely. Let's jump right in.
So, let's just tackle the big question head on, the one every single entrepreneur is asking. Is it actually possible to register a company in Turkey, get all the legal stuff done, and become fully operational, all while you're sitting potentially thousands of miles away?
And the answer is a big, loud, definite yes. You see, thanks to Turkey's pretty modern corporate system, setting up a company from abroad isn't some secret hack. It's just a standard, totally legal process. And the magic key that unlocks this whole thing? It comes down to one really important legal document. And that document is called a power of attorney, or a POA. Now, this isn't just some form you fill out. Think of it as your legal clone, your stand-in on the ground in Turkey. It gives a trusted professional the authority to do all the necessary legwork for you, which means you don't have to be there in person for any of it.
So what can they actually do with this thing? Well, pretty much the whole shebang. It's like having a remote control for your company formation. They can officially establish the company, get your tax numbers lined up, register you with the trade registry. They can even arrange your registered office address. All of that happens while you're focusing on, actually building your business.
Okay, so we've covered how it's possible. Now let's get into the what. Welcome to Section 1, where we talk about your company's blueprint. This is all about picking the right legal structure. And trust me, this is a big deal. It affects your taxes, your personal liability, and even how easily you can get investors later on.
For most folks setting up in Turkey, it really comes down to two main options. On one hand, you've got the Limited Liability Company, or LTD. This is the fan favorite, the go-to for most foreign entrepreneurs. It's perfect for things like trading, IT, e-commerce, basically most small and medium-sized businesses. Then on the other side, you have the Joint Stock Company, the AS. Think of this one as the heavyweight contender, built for bigger operations, lots of shareholders, or any venture that's gearing up to raise venture capital.
Naturally, the next question is about money. One of the key differences here is the minimum capital you need to put in. As you can see, for an LTD, you're looking at 50,000 Turkish lira. For an AS, it's a bigger jump up to 250,000. But before you get worried about that cash being tied up, hold on. There's a really important business-friendly detail you need to know.
And here it is, the crucial point that makes everyone breathe a sigh of relief. This capital is not locked away in some vault. The second it hits your company's bank account, it's yours to use. You can pay for rent, salaries, software, supplies, whatever. The big takeaway here is that this is working capital, not frozen cash. It's there to help you run the business.
Okay, so you've picked your company type, you've got your blueprint. Now let's roll up our sleeves and get into Section 2. The actual step-by-step process. We're going to look at the paperwork, the timeline, and everything you need to officially get your business off the ground.
First things first, the paperwork. For individuals, it's actually pretty simple. You need a copy of your passport, some kind of proof of address, and that power of attorney we keep talking about. But, and listen closely here, this next part is absolutely non-negotiable. Every single one of these documents has to be notarized in your country, then apostilled, which is like an international notarization, and then officially translated into Turkish. You can't skip any of those steps.
The whole process can really be broken down into three main stages. It's not as complex as it sounds. First, you get all your documents prepared and authenticated. That's step 1. Second, your representative in Turkey takes those documents and registers your company with the trade registry. And finally, step 3, they get your company's official tax and VAT numbers issued. That's it. Simple, right?
So how long are we talking here? Well, getting the documents ready usually takes the most time, maybe 2 to 5 days. But the actual registration part, it's surprisingly fast, often done within 24 to 72 hours. Then tax registration takes a few more days. So all in all, you're looking at an average of about 7 to 14 business days to be fully registered and ready to go. And that's before we talk about banking.
And that is the perfect segue into our third section, navigating banking and compliance. Because, look, getting your company registered is one thing, but making it truly functional and keeping it legal for the long haul, that means you have to master these two areas.
Let's be 100% crystal clear about this. The company registration process itself, it is completely, totally, 100% remote friendly. From the very first step to the very last, there are no exceptions.
You do not need to set foot in Turkey to get your company legally incorporated. Period.
But, and this is a really, really important but, opening the corporate bank account is a different animal altogether. This is handled on a case-by-case basis by the banks, not the government, and this is where you really need to manage your expectations.
So what does case-by-case actually mean? Well, a bank might ask you to hop on a video call so they can see your face. Some might require you to courier them original documents with your actual signature on them. And yeah, in some rare cases, they might ask you to pop over for a final in-person signature. Now, if that happens, it's usually just a quick one-day trip, but it's something you have to be aware of.
I love this quote because it just perfectly sums up what it's like to do business in Turkey. The country really rolls out the red carpet for new businesses. The setup is straightforward. But the moment you're up and running, the system expects you to play by the rules, and they are not messing around when it comes to compliance.
And being compliant isn't just a one-and-done thing. It's a rhythm you have to get into. We're talking monthly tax filings, VAT returns, keeping your books in perfect order, and if you have an AS, you've got annual audits. Getting incorporated is just crossing the starting line. This stuff here, this is the actual race.
So that brings us to our final section, how to start the right way. How do you make sure that this new Turkish venture of yours is a success right from day one and that you don't fall into any of the common traps?
All right, let's do a little rapid-fire myth-busting to clear some things up. Can a foreigner own 100% of their company? Yes, absolutely. Do you need a local Turkish partner? Nope, not required. Can you send your profits back to your home country? Yes, you can, once you've paid your taxes. And do you need a residence permit to own the company? No, you don't. Simple as that.
And this, right here, is why having a professional partner on your team is such a game changer. They do way more than just file paperwork. They make sure your ownership structure is solid, they help navigate those tricky bank conversations, they can optimize your taxes, and they handle all the back and forth with the authorities. They're basically your compliance shield.
Which really leaves us with one last big question. Is your new Turkish company going to be an asset or a liability? You see, when it's set up the right way from the start, with professional guidance, it can be an incredibly powerful strategic asset. But without that, it can quickly turn into a headache. The choice, really, is yours. Thanks so much for tuning in.